Vigilante Williamson here with a very simple question. That is, when is physical media coming back? I say when because in a very objective way, it works for no one. No one is happy with the rise of streaming services, whether we're talking about music, whether we're talking about movies, which we'll focus on in particular, but I'll get into music, which is a little bit more relevant for me. I'll be dropping two albums later this year. That's neither here nor there or have anything to do with this video. Or maybe it does. Maybe it does subconsciously. So it just happened to be where Amazon has censored a movie. It's a 2010 Robin Hood movie. I forgot it existed. Some intro that may remind people of Luigi, and I ain't talking about the Mario brother. I don't know. Streaming services don't work for anyone. A lot of streaming services lose money on the infrastructure year over year. A lot of material that could be made otherwise when physical media was a part of the revenue stream, or a lot of movies that maybe the studios would have taken a chance on was paid by physical media, and
they're not making movies for me anymore. As somebody who's been intimately involved in movie making for 30 years, what are the macro Hollywood conditions behind that sentiment?
Well, so what happened was the DVD was a huge part of our business, of our revenue stream, and technology has just made that obsolete. And so the movies that we used to make, you could afford to not make all of your money when it played in the theater because you knew you had the DVD coming behind the release, and 6 months later you'd get a whole nother chunk. It would be like reopening the movie almost. And when that went away, that changed the type of movies that we could make.
Cable release. Speaking of cable, it's become as expensive as cable if you are going to maintain all of the streaming services you would like, which kind of defeats the purpose of them. Again, they can't profit because in the cable system, cable handled the infrastructure. Now every streaming service has to independently handle the infrastructure and the content instead of just the content. So that burden has made them a lot less profitable, not just for the studios, but for the actors, the crews, and everybody else involved. And on the music side, while I think the consumer is a lot happier from the music side to the video side, the way music gets made, I say that in air quotes, there's so many complaints about modern music, but you kind of can't create great classic albums because you need such a turnaround. Like you can't spend 2 years on the album anymore. You know what I mean? You got to have a single pretty much every 3 to 4 months that's worth a damn. And the payouts for streaming for artists are terrible. And if you are a new artist, there's all these different scam services that you call distribution services. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to them because I'm gonna have to use one myself in a few months, as I mentioned, but all of these services have had shady reputations about getting rid of artists. And while that doesn't affect most people, I know most people don't care about independent musicians, unfortunately, it does mean that the odds of you getting genuine artistically valuable music that you will cherish from years and years isn't gonna happen because it's harder to support it, not just for independents but for major labels themselves. Even though they have a lot of stake in Spotify, Spotify also hasn't been the most profitable thing, all things concerned, when you consider how much of that is botted. A lot of those views have been botted views, and that's a issue that of all people Drake has brought to the forefront. It was got lost in a They're Not Like Us mega feud that feud rap all last year was this lawsuit in which a lot of the industry practices are getting exposed. So we know that kind of the industry is held up by smoke and mirrors when you're talking about music, and a lot of that has to do with streaming. There's not enough revenue in streaming for everybody to make money. And it's not just these big labels making scams. We know there's a lot of AI music. We know there's a lot of people stealing other people's music. No disrespect, or maybe some disrespect to Jaco Turma, which was a different situation, but people take, and these different companies from different countries, when they take somebody's music and use bot farms themselves. I mean, there's a whole host of fuckery and deception and smoke and mirrors going on with the music industry. And yes, it always has, but with physical media, a lot of those things even out. If people were just still conditioned to buy CDs, which are cheap to produce, very cheap to produce, at least for now. I've heard some discussion that maybe the format could be in some trouble. We did see vinyl get more popular. If you are a super fan of a band or a group or an artist, you probably own some vinyl from them. So it's not lost. Physical media still does have some relevance. You do have not just vinyl and CD and tapes. You have merch, and a lot of that's prized. I like having that stuff myself, so I'm a fan of it, and hopefully you'll be a fan of it. Again, couple months, couple albums. Not trying to plug, because I don't know who's even going to listen to this. But anyways, it isn't all lost. And hey, going back to the movie side, you have the Criterion Collection. You do have people who want the best version, the best 4K version they can get. That hipster, dare I say, maybe that's not the good word, collector, that collector grade fan of a piece of media, be it a musician or a movie or an album, whatever. There are those fans, but it's not enough like there was. I mean, it's crazy to think how much money we spent back in the day on movies, on DVDs and CDs. I mean, you did get deals. It's not like deals didn't exist. And honestly, it felt like money well spent. It never felt, even if you got a few duds, it never felt like the end of the world. Remember the rental situation? I mean, there was a lot more money being made off of media, or a lot more money opportunities, I should say, off of media. Don't get me wrong, there's still a lot to be made off of YouTube. There's still a lot to be made for independent artists of both the film and movies from YouTube and other platforms. There are still people selling their DVDs. It is a way, the streaming services are a way for independent films to get maybe more exposure than they otherwise would. So it's not like it's total loss for that. I don't want to totally bash streaming services. There are lots of independent films. If you're fan of some of the weirdness on Tubi, you'll find a lot of independent films on all these different streaming services. So it's not like it's totally no chance of original ideas getting out there. But again, it's not profitable, and I don't think the people are happy. I think most people would say we're in a downtime of entertainment as a whole. Whether you're talking about video games, whether you're talking about movies, TV shows. There's some TV shows that have some hype. There are some TV shows that have some hype. It's probably the strongest right now. Maybe that or video games, music. And again, there's people who like certain artists and are very fond of them. And so I don't want to say that these are total wastelands. Hell, music, was it 2023 or 2024, did more than movies did. So music certainly is still popular, but it doesn't seem like streaming works for anyone. Again, if you're a hardcore music fan, I think Spotify is an incredible deal. It's probably the best case scenario, even though a lot of times I just use YouTube. But even if you don't, I mean, if you don't want to deal with the ads, paying for Spotify is probably the best deal amongst any streaming service. I don't think that's even debatable. Unless you're a gamer and you consider the Xbox Game Pass. That could be, if you consider that a streaming service, that's probably another can of worms. Maybe you might gain more value out of that. But outside of that, I don't think there's a better deal. But it doesn't help the artist. But, you know, is that your concern? You know what I mean? Maybe you don't have to care about that. But in the case of movies, though, when censorship is a thing, when it just hurts everybody, because we're getting worse movies made because they don't have the budgets, or they don't make movies with the budget. I mean, a lot of hype is about Sinners. There's only one of those. You used to have like 10 or 15 of those every year in the 90s into the 2000s. And part of that was you could take a chance. One, didn't have to cost $100 million. You can get it done for less than that. You can get it done for like 20. But another thing was you also had the post-theatrical release as well to make some of that money back. And you don't have that anymore because you don't sell VHSs or DVDs or Blu-rays. And I think you need to get back to that. I think it can come back. I think we can, like I said, vinyl's already kind of come back on its own. I don't know to what extent. I think it could be a niche for sure, and it already is. But can it come all the way back to where the average person is willing to go get a Blu-ray or a CD? I don't know. I don't know how fed up are people with streaming services, right? That's the real question. When will people be fed up with not being able to find the movie they want? If there is a new movie, it's not good. Here's this movie being censored, and I'm paying as much as I was for cable. When is the average person going to be fed up with that experience? That's the question. And when are the businesses going to be fed up with, well, now we got to do the damn infrastructure and the content, and we can't really afford it. We're taking out loans. We're kind of overextended credit-wise, trying to figure this money thing out. We really have to go up in price and add ads, and everyone's going to hate us when we do. But this math ain't mathing. I don't know who gets frustrated first when it comes to the movie side of the streaming service, or the film side, I should say. But that's what's going to determine that. As far as music, because of Spotify's dominance, I don't know. Now, it would take so many artists being frustrated that the Spotify loses its dominance. That would be what it takes for that. The fans, is like I said, it's too good of a deal to really hold the fans to it. But if they can't pay the creators, stop doing it. And there are people starting to stop use Spotify. And the fan, listen, there's nothing to you to just check out their YouTube, or maybe give them $5 on Bandcamp, or $3, because maybe they only have a 5-song EP, 2 5-song EPs, and they only charge $3 over the course of the summer, maybe. But whatever it is, sometimes that's easier to do. You know what I mean? If you're a huge fan of something. So, and hey, that's cool. We see other different niche things. I mean, that's how Etsy exists. I mean, shit, if you're a 3D printer guy or gal, you can buy different 3D print designs of action figures or toys or statues and buy those off Etsy and download it. That's a genre of, digital thing that you would have never thought of. So if people are willing to do that, yeah, maybe they'll buy your EP. Maybe you do get back to that direct to consumer, the digital, selling out your digital trunk, and not use Spotify. I'm about to find out. We'll see how this shit works. I'll let you know in a year after I push the hell out of these songs. But anyway, this video was more about me than I meant for it to be. What do you think about streaming services? Will they die? Am I wrong? I feel like, I don't know about the music one, but the video ones, if all these companies are losing money and everybody is sick of paying all these fucking streaming services, something's got to come to a head. This can't be it. There has to be another thing. I know they want us to own nothing and like it, but eventually somebody's going to get fed up. And we'll see who it is. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.